Welcome aboard. Today is the 29th of August. And this is Rick, September. This is Rick DiClemente with Astrology Unplugged coming out of Pittsburgh area. Tonight's something like episode 5. And tonight I'll be talking about, at first, how do the houses work with the zodiac. It's very confusing to most people. Once I explain it to you graphically, you'll have a better basis of understanding charts. Through the next few months, you'll be seeing more and more charts. And you need to understand how houses are populated and how signs are. And then the rest of the night, I really latched on to something I think is going to be very good, even if it takes us a few weeks. When an Aries comes in my office, what am I looking for? When a Taurus comes in, what am I looking for? What are the traps? What are the pitfalls? Maybe they're not that much of a Taurus. How do they work? It's all based in our book, The Exquisite Zodiac, but I think you'll find it kind of interesting. And I'm not going to push it, so if we have to split into 2 weeks, okay. Mona, you just chopped the top of your head off. So there you go. All right. Okay, I'm going to go right away to the zodiac. So I'm going to share the screen, and I'm going to bring up this picture. Okay, very good. You all see the picture of the zodiac here?
Yep.
Okay. Now this is a few minutes ago. Now you got to remember, in astrology, the Earth is in the center. We make this circle up. The Earth is in the center, and out here, way around us, far away, are all the constellations. Okay? And right now, the sun is spending its 30 days in Libra. There are 30 degrees here, 30 degrees in each sign, which is why there can't be 13 signs. So I'm not going into that. We did that last week. If you missed last week, that's all available on, all of these are available on my YouTube channel. So you can go to YouTube and watch any former ones you missed. By the way, I wanted to let you know I've extended my sale price of $125 through the month of October. It's been, hi Grace, and it's been very popular, and a lot of people have been getting readings that couldn't afford to do so before, and I'm very happy about that. So you have all of October if you would like to get a personal reading or one by telephone, etc. Okay, so we're going to go back now to the zodiac. So you can see that during the year, the sun spends 30 degrees. This is what you're used to seeing in your daily horoscopes. Spends 30 degrees. We just entered Libra 7 days ago. It'll go all the way to 30, then it'll go into Scorpio, and it'll go into Sagittarius. And for astrology's purposes, we keep all the planets out here at the same distance. Of course, they're not, but for astrological purposes, there are. And for this particular case, I'm putting Aries over here, which is what's called the ascendant in astrology. So the beginning of the zodiac is right here. Okay? So each planet moves through the zodiac at a different speed. The moon goes around once a month, once a month, once a month. So tomorrow that moon will move. It will have a new moon. It'll catch up to the sun at 8 degrees. And we'll have the sun and moon together, and we'll have a new moon around the 8th degree of Libra. Jupiter every 12 years. 1 year, 1 year, 1 year, 1 year, 1 year. So Jupiter goes around every 12 years. And that's one of the things that makes astrology so confusing, is everything's moving, sometimes in different directions, at different speeds. Venus is about every 9-10 months. Saturn is about every 28 years. Saturn is here 28 months, 28 months, 28 months, 28 months, around the circle over 28 years. Mars every 2 years. So the point is, they're all moving at different speeds, It seems very confusing, but you're not really watching that many bodies, 10 or 11, and through time, you get these things memorized very easily. Neptune every 180 years. Pluto every 250 years to go all the way around and return. That is the planets moving through the zodiac. The planets, the 10 planets, moving through the signs of the zodiac at different speeds. The sun once a month, Saturn every 28 months, Mars around the circle every 2 years. So this is one of the things you don't get with daily horoscope. You get this with more advanced astrology. So when I'm talking about the planets and the signs, you all have 10 or 11 planets, and the 11th one is called Chiron, and that's why it's debatable whether it's a planet or not, but I call it one. We'll get into that later. There are 12 signs. There are only 12 signs. There will always be 12 signs. That whole issue was covered last week, and it's on the video on YouTube. Now, I do want to say one thing about that, and it's something Liza and I are working on now. This fact that the 13th sign keeps coming up is not perchance. Ophiuchus is the name of the 13th sign. There is a reason that Ophiuchus wants in. And it has to do with how we are being. So I will let you know more as I study deeper into why Ophiuchus, whose foot touches down on the zodiac between Scorpio and Sagittarius. He's trying to squeeze his foot in there. Why is this happening? This is not happenstance. Ooh, isn't that a cute story? No. There's a reason this is going on. We'll get to this later. The planets going through the signs. Now, I want you to picture. Let's go back here. Somebody needs a mic turned on. I'll get that. All right. Mary Kay, I'll turn yours on. All right. Now, if the sun is in Libra, here's why the houses come in. If this person were born at sunset, the sun would be over here in Libra. If they were born at noon, the sun in Libra would be up here. If they were born at sunrise, the sun would be in Libra over here. If they were born at sunset, the sun would be in Libra down here. So the entire zodiac turns, not because it turns, but because we turn. So I can look ahead and see the sun in Libra. Is the sun in Libra behind me? Is the sun in Libra to my side? Is the sun in Libra over here? That's what makes the houses. And they all mean 4 different things. Completely different things. And in a lot of ways, the birth time is really, really, really important. That's what gives you the rising sign. So I want you to picture this. Watch. We're going to put this on animate. Let's go back in time by hours. No, that's not going to work. That's not going to work. Let me change this. Okay.
Oops.
Okay, here you go. There we go. This morning, the sun was in Libra. Watch it. I'm moving by hours. 1 hour later, the sun rose. This is actually your ascendant. This is the descendant. This is actually the horizon. If you looked out of the hospital when the baby was born, this is the planet rising. This is noon. This is the sunset. This is midnight. So if the child were born today, the sun would be in early morning hours here. It's in Libra. Watch how its relationship to Libra stays the same. We're the one in the middle turning. An hour later, An hour later, up near noon, 1 o'clock, Libra's at the top. The sun is in Libra. Go through the afternoon. Watch how the sun and Libra keep moving. The sun and Libra keep moving. It's starting to set. Here's your set around 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock. The sun has gone below the horizon. 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock. Here you see the time. 11 o'clock. Near midnight, the sun is below. It's still in Libra. So it's not that the zodiac's turning. It looks like it. It's us that's turning. And what's in the sky? If you were born today at 11:04 tonight, you would see Mars. If you say stop everything and you ran outside, the baby was you born and the sky was clear, you would see Mars, the red planet, setting. You would not see Pluto. It's too far away. You wouldn't see Neptune, Chiron, or Uranus. You would only see Mars setting. This morning, if the baby were born around noon, Jupiter and the moon were in the sky, but you wouldn't see them because the sun's too bright. So,
Rick, excuse me.
Yes,
Uh,
I can't hear you.
I was trying to watch the chart, and it didn't seem like the chart was moving from what I could see. Did anyone else see the chart moving?
Okay,
No. Karen's saying she didn't see the chart moving either.
all right, let me go back, Sandy, and give it a shot again.
Thanks, Rick.
I'm glad you stopped me. If there's a problem, let me know. Now, do you see it moving?
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
Okay. What that is the software is making mistakes. Sometimes when I go from one screen to another, you'll see both. Sometimes you'll just see the first. So when I switch and you don't see it, stop me. Okay? It's a software mistake. Now let's go back and repeat, because this is critical that you know this. By the way, we're getting a rain downpour in Pittsburgh, and I'm down south, and it's heading to Pittsburgh big time. Okay, so let's go back. Here's sunrise, sun in Libra. A couple hours later, sun's getting higher in the sky. Here's noon. Don't be confused why the sun isn't exactly up here. It's got to do with the earth being tilted. But the sun's high in the sky. All through the day, the sun stays in Libra. The sun stays in Libra. The sun stays in Libra. Everything else is staying relative. Okay? Do you see how it just set? Now I'm going to show you something interesting. Watch this. Let's go back to this morning. Do you all see that moving? Well, somebody's going to have to unmute and say yes.
Yeah, we can see the chart moving now.
Okay, thank you very much. Now, I want you to watch this. This morning, Mercury and Venus and Saturn and Mars and all these planets, they do not go through the zodiac very quickly. The moon does. The moon moves 1 degree every 2 hours. So this morning, the moon was at 19, almost 20. This means 19 Virgo, 54 minutes. That goes up to 1960. That's just a finer division of the degrees. 19 degrees, almost 20 degrees of Virgo. Watch what happens throughout one day. Let's go forward through a whole day. Hour. Go all the way to the next day. Here's midnight. We're going all the way to tomorrow morning. But look what happened. Everything's the same. But now, look how much the moon has moved. The moon has moved out of Virgo and it's crossed into Libra. In one day, the sun advances 1 degree and the moon advances 13 degrees. Everything else is pretty fixed, relative. Mars, Mercury move a little bit. In one day, the sun, you come back, the sun has gone through all 12 houses, but it's still only moved 1 degree in the sign it's in, while the moon has moved 13 degrees. Every 2 hours, the moon moves a degree. So, happy birthday, Suzanne. Hi, Suzanne. Happy birthday to you. You're 29 years old. Hi, Nancy. Hi, Pat. Okay, so now I want you to envision, did you see how the sun went through the zodiac and appeared that the zodiac's moving, but it's really us that's turning? Did you see that?
Yeah.
Okay, very good. I want you to picture a piece of plastic that you overlay on top of it. That's generally the same all the time. That's called the 12 houses. The houses have nothing to do with the zodiac, per se. They're a way of looking at the zodiac, and this is what they look like. I'll get this yet. Now, do you see the 12 houses?
Yes.
Okay, now forget what I showed you before. Take this picture on a piece of plastic and put it on top of everything. Okay? The first house is always over here. Always for everybody at all times. Now these degrees, what I'm showing you is 30 degrees, 30 degrees, 30 degrees. The houses are stretchable. They're flexible. Sometimes they're 35, sometimes they're 50. When you get up near Oslo and towards the Arctic Circle, they get real tilted. They're just a way of looking at the zodiac. But this is superimposed over top. The ascendant is always here. The descendant is always there. The ascendant is always the beginning of the first house. Then there's the second house, the third house. Then this line is called the midheaven and the nadir. In astrology, this is extremely important. This is the self. This is the other. This is me. This is my marriage. This is me by myself. This is me in my relationships. This is my home. This is my career. This is where I'm coming from. This is where I'm going to. So, what the planets are the energy, Mars, your masculine part. What sign it's in, put the Mars in Leo, shows that you use that energy in a big, colorful way, because Mars is in Leo. Then what house it's in is where you apply it. So all planets are in a sign, and they're also in a house. And the reason the houses seem to move is because we're in the middle turning. Somebody's chatting and says, hi, Pat. Hi, Pat. Hi, Marta. Okay. So, again, the signs such as Venus. Let me get a better idea. Mercury. Mercury is your mind, the way your mind works. If your Mercury is in Aquarius, it's in the sign Aquarius, you combine it. So Aquarius is very inventive, very explorative, very fast, inventive, very kind of wild, kind of unruly. That's the kind of mind you have, the Mercury in Aquarius. Then when you put it in a house, if it's in the 6th house of work, we know that you apply this inventive mind to your work. If it's in the 10th house of career, we know you apply it in career. So let's take a look here, and I'll show you what I mean. I'm trying to still learn how to get around all this. Okay. All right. Okay, do you all see the chart right now of, this is the moment. Do you see it?
Yes.
Okay, so right now, the sun is just set. This is still 8:04. This is wrong. These screens keep getting in my way. There we go. All right. Do you see that chart where Venus is over here setting?
Yes.
Okay. Here you can see the sun is set. Now Venus is setting. This is the chart right now in Pittsburgh. If a baby were born right now, this would be their birth chart forever. Do you see your Uranus over here, Taurus rising?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. This baby would have, let's take our time. This baby would be a Libra with a moon in Virgo approaching. It's not time for the new moon yet. The moon would be in Virgo with the rising sign of Taurus. The descendant is Scorpio. The rising sign is Taurus. The midheaven, you follow this 10th house. That's what this means, 10. The midheaven would be Capricorn, and the nadir would be Cancer. So,
I'm confused. Can I ask a question?
of course.
Isn't the rising sign here Aries?
No. The rising sign is right here. It's Taurus.
I may be looking at the wrong screen.
Let me go back. Let me go back. It might be my fault. Let me go back because I'm still new to this software.
Yeah, I'm
How about-
seeing. it
How
too.
about now? Do you see Taurus now?
Now Aries is
Yes.
Yes,
now
yes,
it's Taurus,
yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay,
Okay, thanks.
it's my software. So the Venus would be in Scorpio. The Jupiter would be near the sun. The Mercury would be in Virgo. We'd have a sharp analytical mind. So, for example, the Mercury, which is the mind, would be in the sign of Virgo, which is a sharp analytical mind, and it's in the 5th house. This is the 5th sector. So the 5th sector is the 5th house is about expression, etc. So later on through the future weeks, I will be explaining what the houses mean. But again, the planet is the energy, such as Saturn. Saturn is a very conservative energy. What sign is it in? Well, I had a lady today with Saturn in Cancer. Cancer is the emotions. So I knew this lady was very conservative emotionally. Plus, everybody born the year before her and the year after had the same thing. Because Saturn takes 28 months to go through Cancer. Then I put it in one of the houses, what house it's in, and I found out that she was very conservative in that area of life. So, don't worry about it if you don't get this. You're going to start seeing lots of charts. It's going to become second nature to you. My only problem with this group is I really wish I had the ability to do all your charts for you right here, even if we take it off of YouTube. For those of you coming late, I announced earlier that I noticed Nancy laughed last week. This is the fireside chat without the fire, and whoever supplies the fire in the background, for real, during one of our sessions, with a real fireplace, they will get a free reading. Okay? Okay. All right. Mercury and Aquarius. So we're going to
Picture
go.
doesn't make it. It's got to be real.
No, it can't be phony little light show. No. Yeah, you could make a fire in the living room. That's all right.
No.
You take
No.
your camera outside. No, I don't want it outside.
Those are
She made a fireplace.
a couple.
No, that does not count. No, no. I want to see a real fire going as we get to the winter months, you know. So for now, just suffice it to say, do not get overwhelmed. You will get there. The planets are in signs. They're also in houses. The houses pretty much stay the same, but the zodiac turn. One real good way of thinking of this is get 2 paper plates. And on one paper plate, draw 1 through 12, pretty much keep it the same. On the other paper plate, put the zodiac and turn it. And imagine you're looking at both at the same time. I'm going to mute somebody else here. We're getting some noise. Hi, Susan. Thank you for joining us. All right. Now, the next part I want to get into, and I think this is very good for all of you. Okay. It came to me this week. I need to tell you what I experience. What do I look for when an Aries comes to my office? When a Taurus comes? When a Virgo comes? And this is going to heavily tie in our book, which, by the way, is free now on our website, starself.com. The electronic version is free. So if you have a question, feel free to interrupt me by unmuting your mic. I'm going to take my time. If it takes us 2 or 3 weeks, I don't care. This is very important, and it's very important you read the book, because our book really gives you a basis. Why are these signs the way they are? This is not Linda Goodman. This is not Cosmopolitan Sex Magazine. Okay, this is what makes these signs tick. All right? So yes, Karen.
Rick, I have found that it really helps to go back and look through the book after a session. That it makes, for me, reading it in advance is like asking a baby to walk before they crawl.
Well, I think before, during, and after, yes. Yeah, and that's one of my reasons about letting the book be free on the electronic version is a lot of people are going to want the book itself for reference, and they'll buy a copy for $9.99. So that's my ultimate underhanded reason here. Okay, so when an Aries comes in my office, and when I was writing this chapter, I really learned about this. This was written about 2009. I had to become an Aries for the session while I was writing. How many of you know Aries in your life? Okay. Aries are very self-oriented, and I had to choose that word very carefully. Sometimes it's selfish, and sometimes it's selfish, but it's not really problematic. They're enamored with themselves. I always use the analogy of the little boy with the nail, and he puts the nail in the board with a hammer, and he says, "Daddy, look what I did." That's what Aries do. Period. That's what they do. Look what I did. That's simple. The rest of the signs are so complicated. And Aries is so simple that you have to go far down the zodiac till you can look back at Aries to really understand. Now, there are Aries that are much more complex, like Ram Dass and Hillman and, Da Vinci. So many people. Your chart can make it very complex, but the basic Aries is about themselves. And if they go too far about themselves, people start bailing out on them. People don't want to live with somebody that's all about themselves always. They just don't want it. So what you have to look for when you get an Aries in front of you is you have to look for, are there other energies in the chart that make them other-oriented, make them think about others, like Cancer, like Pisces, like Scorpio, like Capricorn. But if there's a bunch in Aries, they're just not interested. And I'll tell you a really great story about Aries. This is really a tremendous explanation. About 4 years ago, I remember watching Uranus moved into Aries. It was 2011. 2011, on May 27th, Uranus moved into Aries. And what that did to the collective, since Uranus is 7 years, 7 years, 7 years, 7 years, 84 years around. So Uranus only enters a sign every 7 years. What it did is it blasted the collective mind with this Aries energy. And you know what happened to me? Up until that time, people said, well, I'm thinking about opening a business. What do you think, Rick? Well, I'm thinking of traveling to Europe. What do you think, Rick? Well, I'm thinking of doing it. What do you think, Rick? Aries don't do that. Aries know what they're doing and they're gone. They're very sure of themselves. Get out of my way. They're not rude, but get out of my way. We're getting a light show from Amy over there. Woo! Okay.
So your point is people be.
The point is, when we went into Aries in May, all of a sudden everybody knew what they were doing. People weren't coming to me asking permission. Is this right? People knew what they were doing because that Aries part of themselves got stronger for a couple months. Why just a couple months? Because you got overburdened, overshadowed by our own nature of Scorpio, Sag, Pisces, you see? But during that Aries time, I loved it because I'm a complicated Capricorn and I make things really complex in my mind. And you Virgos? But during that month, things were very simple. How many Aries people do you know that you're around that oversimplify everything? They oversimplify everything. Nice and simple. How many do you know? Come on, raise some hands here. Nobody? No one knows any Aries that oversimplify things. Okay.
Okay, I have to admit to it. I don't have a camera though.
Where are we talking here? Margarita? Marta?
Sandy.
Marta? Oh, we mean Sandy. Okay. All right. Anyhow, so that's what you have to look for in their chart. And you need to encourage them to develop, in many of our issues, we need to develop the opposite sign. True, when all of you come to me, I need to really focus on Susan being the Virgo, on Grace being the Libra, on Suzanne being the Libra, and I want to help you being the best you can. But when you get in trouble, it's because you listen to your sun sign too much. You need to develop the opposite, which is what the book does very well. It explains that. So Aries needs to develop the Libra part. Libra is about me plus you, baby. It ain't about me, it's about me and you, us. Aries is about me, Libra is about us. So you got to help the Aries develop the us type thinking. Now, as I go through these, about 5 minutes each, you'll start to understand more and more. And as you go through the zodiac, it gets more and more complex. Taurus, my stuff, down to earth, my stuff. Don't ever try to take a dollar bill from a Taurus. Don't try it. You'll lose your fingers. Okay? Very nice people, very down to earth. Maybe, what is that? Oh, it's a trend. Maybe the most down to earth people there are. But you have to watch them. If not, they'll get cemented to where they're planted. They won't move. They will not move. They're not made to move. They're made to dig into the ground. Now you're going to know some Tauruses that are different, etc. That's why when you're studying astrology, don't get hung up on the 3 Libras you know and the 2 Virgos you know. You got to get your mind filled of 50 or 100 of them. Then you can see through to the real archetype that's working. Taurus is made to dig into the ground. They're not made for change. They can't stand change. It happens upon them slowly. They don't like it. So what you got to do with them is make sure they're breathing. Because they can get so fixed that they don't want anything disrupting their circle, especially even air coming in. They're not made to exchange with the world. They're not made to live in a bigger world. Almost all of them live in a very small world. And the typical story, the typical symbol of a Taurus is Frodo and Bilbo. They're in their little hole in the ground. They got the fireplace. They got the pipe. They got the tea. They got the muffin. And Gandalf comes like Uranus. Ta-da! We're going on a trip. Oh, that's Uranus. And Taurus says, oh, no, I'm not going anywhere. I got the Shire. Well, you have to breathe air into a Taurus's chart. If not, then the planet Uranus finally comes around, hits something of theirs. And it's not that Uranus comes and knocks them over. That's what the bad astrologers say. It's that their own Uranus comes about. Karen, their own Uranus comes about and it doesn't want to hear it anymore. It wants to break through the asphalt. We're talking about a friend of ours, of Karen's, who's a Taurus. And this particular person is having some difficulty with the planets. And what it is his own Uranus is trying to pop through. And he's experiencing it as outer pressure. You're trying to change me. What's wrong with you? Blah, 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 blah. It's not that. It's the inner self wants out. I told you the story of the Taurus woman in the book. Taurus woman's got all these kids, everything that fine. All of a sudden, the kids are driving her nuts. Well, I knew right away what that was. I looked in her chart. Uranus was all over her. That's the planet that wants change. It wants to disrupt, try new things. I said, did your kids bother you 2 months ago? No. So they just became nuts now, huh? Yeah. I said, no, that ain't making sense, lady. So I told her, and I think I told you this, go outside, get some shorts on, get the hose on, go out and play, make some mud and start sliding in it and start throwing it at each other. Have some fun and break up the tedium. And I told you she wrote back to me 2 weeks later, said she was having the greatest fun in the world. Why? Because she was letting her own Uranian part loose. Not because of how she's treating the kids. So you have to understand that the Taurus's nature is to stay put. But staying put has to change. All of these signs have a myth that if you listen to any one, they'll all try to convince you that I'm the one that knows. Listen to me. And you can't listen to anyone. It will make you too much of one thing and you'll be too unbalanced. Is this making sense?
Yeah.
I'm getting a couple of nods. That's pretty good.
Rick,
Yeah.
I have Uranus within 4 degrees of conjunct my sun in Taurus.
Okay, well, you're born with Sun next to Uranus,
It's a
and
trip.
I'm born with Sun opposite Uranus. So you and I'm a Capricorn, you're a Taurus. You and I do not have that problem. By the way, Pat, your camera's real fuzzy. I don't know.
I don't know why.
Okay, it's all right. But
Yeah.
what I'm saying is, Pat is born with the Sun next to Uranus. I'm born with it opposite, which means all of our lives we're used to dealing with Uranian energy, and it's the opposite of Taurus.
Yeah.
It wants to disrupt everything. So when Pat gets a Uranus transit or change comes to her, she might bitch and complain a little bit, but she's going to go with the flow much easier than a typical Taurus,
Yeah.
right?
Exactly.
Very-
Especially with a Gemini ascendant.
Okay, now I don't want to complicate it too much.
Okay.
Yes, but other factors in your chart
Right.
make you even more pliable. Yes, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So you get in my office and I see a Taurus Sun next to Uranus with Gemini rising. I know you're basically off pretty well. Now you come to my office and your Sun's in Taurus and your Moon and your Mars and your rising, and I'm really got some trouble here. Oh my God, you got a fireplace.
Yes, I know.
I knew she was working at something. Yeah, but still, you get a free reading. Oh boy! Now I didn't tell you about the requirement, did I? Now you got to have it burning at all times during all our meetings. Yeah,
Does
that
a
was wonderful.
wood stove count, Rick?
Huh?
Rather than what does a wood stove count?
Oh, you're already too late. Amy beat you. Amy was first.
Oh, okay. So this doesn't hold next week.
No. I can't do everything. I've been doing everything for free
okay.
already. No, I got these things called bills. Okay, but you're getting the idea. Now, as we go around, you'll start to see. Now I get a person comes in my office that's got a bunch of Gemini. And what a Gemini needs to do, they need to flit around. They're the butterfly. They need to flit around. This is the existential archetypal force that's under them. They get bored. How many times you hear Gemini saying they're bored? Oh my God, they're the most bored sign in zodiac. They're always bored because they're looking for what's next, what's next, what's next. Okay, well, if you get too much of that, you got somebody that can't sit still. You got somebody that can't finish anything. They got 500 books open next to their bed. They haven't finished a paragraph on any of them, and it's just too much. They get too scattered. And then they go to Nancy and they try to get themselves grounded, and there's only so much Nancy can do. Some charts you just can't deal with very well. So they have to develop. And then when Saturn comes into their life, like it does at different periods, they're going like, oh my God. You know, on the good side, the Saturn is finally giving them a sense of stability. But on the other side, they don't know how to deal with it. They don't know how to deal with these energies. So the perfect person is the one that has a blend of many energies and it can flow and flex with it. But my job is not to turn the Gemini into another Einstein. My job, in many ways, as I see it, is to free up that butterfly so it can fly. Then there are other things in the chart that make it more complex. Now we're probably into one of the most complex signs there is, and that's Cancer. And I spend a lot of time with Cancer. Cancer is very, very, very misunderstood and complicated. Cancer is emotion, as you know. When you get a Cancer and their planets are near the top of the chart, like their moon is high in the chart, they're ruled by the moon. When that moon is high and their sun is high, you usually, this is what I'm finding, you usually don't have much difficulty because the top of the chart is the world. They're out there in the world. The bottom of the chart is they're hiding. They're staying home. They're underneath the rock. There's a crab and they're hiding. Well, when you get a Cancer, you got to make sure they've got something that helps them get some confidence of coming out into the world. A friend of mine, 1984, he and his wife had a baby with 4 planets in Cancer. I was there when the little boy was born. And of course, I had the chart done in minutes. He had Sun, Moon, Venus, Mars, all in Cancer. And I said to them, and the guy was a Virgo, so he didn't have the guy. Hi, Carla. He didn't have the greatest of emotional offerings. Nice guy, though. I said, this kid needs white gloves on top of white gloves. This is the way this boy is. I don't care what you say to him, what you do. It's just how he is. They're very, 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 very sensitive. So you have to work with that child to understand that not everything everybody's saying to them is personal. Not everything is an attack. Not everybody's trying to hurt you. But Cancers need a lot of reassurance, unlike any sign. They just need it. I've had a lot of Cancer pets in my life. They're right underfoot. How many of you have had Cancer pets? They're right underfoot. They won't leave mommy. They won't leave daddy. They just feel assured when they're with you. There are many, many reasons for these things. But with the Cancer, you have to embolden them. You need to find a moon in Leo, a moon in Sag. You need to find something to get them out of their own little circle. And when you see people who have a Cancer relationship, maybe they're both Cancers, or maybe the moon is very strong between them, or maybe they have a midpoint chart where the moon is strong, they don't want to leave. They got the door shut, they're in their little bubble, and they think they're safe. They're not safe. Eventually, the outer world will find its way in, and eventually the Twin Towers are going to come down. That's what happened to the U.S. Cancer chart. Da-de-da-de-da-de-da. Nothing can happen to us till 9/11. Now, I'm not suggesting catastrophe, but that's what happened when we stay too provincial. Cancer is a very tough sign. Some cancers can do it. Some cancers can't do it. Some cancers cannot do it. They need people to help them. That's the way the zodiac is. So you want to find strength. You want to find fire in their chart. You want to talk them into seeing what the ultimate Cancer said. Helen Keller, who reiterated what I talked about this morning to the lady with Saturn and Cancer. This was a Capricorn woman, and she had all the Cancer. She married a Taurus, Capricorn, Cancer, Taurus. I said, boy, everything's secure in your house, isn't it? Nobody moves and everything's secure, isn't it? She said, yeah, I'm nice and secure and safe. And I said, are you? She's not. She's not. But she was ready. She was ready to finally look at it. 5 years ago, 8 years ago, I couldn't have talked to her that way. She was ready now to hear it. There is no security. That's what Helen Keller told us. Security is this. Developing connection between the mind and the heart inside you. She was all uptight about what would the family say if she did this? What would they say if she did this? And she's now at the point where she's not worried so much about it. She's just going to go do it. Well, I had tremendous applause for her. So Cancer is a very big story. Very big misunderstood story. And a lot of them are getting a raw deal because they're not understood well. I've given more thought to Cancer than any sign since that book was completed. And I could do a whole book on it. Very tough sign. When you get a good one who's healthy, they're wonderful people and they're motherly and they're, how you feeling, honey? Let me make you some chicken soup. Let me get you a blanket. They take care of you. They listen to how you feel. Every sign's always doing one thing. Remind me to tell you this. Aries is always testing itself. I want to challenge myself and see what I can do. Always. Taurus is always digging in. They're either digging in or moving their butt back and forth on the soil and getting comfortable in the soil. Gemini is always what? Flitting around. You can't stop it. And Cancer is always concerned with how people feel. As a matter of fact, what Cancer is doing is making sure they're okay. Opposite the zodiac, Capricorn, making sure everybody's okay. Cancer, making sure I'm okay. They're okay, I'm okay. And you can't blame them for that because some sign has to do that. Cancers get a lot of flack and a lot of bad misunderstandings from other signs. Now, poof, here's a Leo. Oh my God, everything changes completely with Leo. Because in the book shows you so clearly how one sign morphs into the next. And the Leo doesn't want that reputation for being timid. They want to get past that. They want to develop confidence. So that's why you hear about Leos on stage, limelight. This is my domain. I'm the lion. Who knows Leos? Now remember, each sign can have a positive side, a negative side, or a blend. What are Leos always doing? Looking for confirmation. Looking for validation in a finite world. Leos are always looking for confirmation and validation in a finite world. There's only so much applause, there's only so much attention, etc. The challenge to being a Leo is to confirm themselves, validate themselves. I've got some chat comments coming up here. Let me see. Wow, so true. Did I see your fire? Yes, I did. You win the prize. Okay, so here's what Leo does, and I want you to understand this when you watch Donald Trump, who has Mars and Leo rising. His story is much more complex. He's got Gemini, Sag, Cancer complexities. But a lot of him is Mars and Leo, which is I will show you. And the worst thing you can do is argue with the guy or insult him, then he gets bigger. It's a puffer fish. You can't argue with him, he just gets bigger. Leo energy is this. Don't tell me it's me. It's not my fault. It's your fault. That's where they get their power to rise above the Cancer stage. So when I get to Leo, I got to find something in there that calms them down, something that they're not too arrogant about, something Neptune-like, Venus-like, with the one makes them want to share with others. It's not just their show. And as I've told you many times and in the book, the perfect symbol is De Niro in Taxi Driver. You're talking to me? You're talking to me? Or Joe Pesci? That type of super confidence. You can't be possibly talking to me. Well, you see, that's the blessing that Leo has. It takes him beyond the stage of Cancer. It's not me, it's you. That makes you a lot stronger. But you can get carried away, Mr. Trump. It ain't the microphone. You messed up. Sometimes it is you. That's where the Barry Bonds come in, and the A-Rod comes in, and the Madonnas come in. And the Leos are just impossible because the sky is green. And you're not going to listen to anything. Then you got a real problem. Then you got what I call the biggest pitfall in the zodiac. Believing their own lies. Becoming unreal. What helps with Karen is the Leo I've worked with for a long time. Karen has a nice blend of Virgo energy. So the Virgo is not going to allow her to become too arrogant. The Leo starts to and gets proud of itself, and the Virgo stops it. So that's why the blend can work out. So you've got to find something in a chart. I've seen people who have, Sandy is one of the rarest people I've ever met. Sandy has like 6 planets in Leo, and she's not arrogant at all, but Sandy has other things in her chart, her Neptune, and she's operating on the higher dimensions of Leo, which is really loving and giving, and she's a universal thinker. So when I get you in the office, I've got to find a nice blend. Are you understanding? Let's stop for a minute. Mona, you're what sign? Can't hear you. What sign are you, Mona?
And said I'm more Virgo than Leo.
You are Leo?
I am Leo, but you said I was more Virgo than Leo when you did my chart.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, that's okay. They can balance out.
Mhm.
Amy's Cancer. So Amy needs to develop that Capricorn part of herself. She can't stay in a little circle. Oh, we're safe in our little circle. You're going to let us be, aren't you? No, the world's not going to. You got to develop that ability to go out in the marketplace and secure your position. Karen, you already know. Susan being a Virgo, and Susan's well developed. Susan knows that she, being a Virgo, she's got to develop those Pisces sides of her. And she does. If not, the Virgo becomes so critical, they become nothing but little pieces. But Susan's much more chill, much more relaxed. She's definitely developed her Neptune Pisces side. Grace is the Libra. And I think Grace has strong enough Aries in her chart. You do. I'm not concerned about you. You've got that Saturn in Aries, that real strong Mars. So you've got strong Martian Aries energy that you're not just going to be a Libra pushover. Suzanne's very, very Libran-like, but she's got tremendous Leo, and she's got tremendous Scorpio in her. So you're not going to push one over on her either. Susan Rose. Susan, I don't recall very well, but I know Susan is a Virgo, and she's got strong Pisces. So she has them balanced out pretty well, too. John Stegall, welcome aboard. Nancy and I, we've been through your chart many, many times. Patricia, we've already talked about her being the Taurus, and she's balancing her chart with a lot of the Gemini energy. Mark is I forget the sign. Mark is a Aries with the Leo rising. Scorpio moon, yeah. Well, Mark, you're going to have to use that Scorpio moon, which could make your Aries a lot worse. You're going to have to use that Scorpio moon to really partner with other people in a real way. That's what Scorpio is about. It's about fusing with others. You're going to have to get past just the Aries, me. And if you stick to the me, it's not going to work. Sandy's got a very advanced chart. Roger Dodger, he says. Carla has a lot of Virgo and a lot of Gemini. Tremendous energy. And it's a good thing she's an energy worker, because this woman has phenomenal energy. It just pours out of her. Carla needs Saturn. She needs something in her chart to chill the chart, to keep her from running over here. All that heavy Gemini she's got. She'll just get too frenetic and too spaced out. And she's a master with energy work. And that's very good, because she can calm herself down and steady herself. So you can see everybody's a different story. Mary Kay, forgive me, I'm going to unmute you. What sign are you? Mary Kay?
Yes,
What sign are you? Triple Sag?
yes.
Oh my God. Well, we're just going to all go to Disneyland on your tail. That's all I can say. Triple Sag. I mean, Triple Sag, it needs help too, like any sign. You need follow through. Sag can get too promise and not deliver. It can get too energetic, too hyper, too carefree. So you need to develop, your Saturn needs to be very strong in your chart. So that gives you a good idea, just with the few people I went through, how I look at things when I'm looking at you. You can see that I remember many of your signs, because I see charts before I see people, just the way my mind is. I remember everybody by peculiarities in the chart, and when I talk to people, I hear those energies talk to me. That's just the way my weird brain works. Okay, now we got the Leo. Okay, so up comes Virgo, the last of the personal signs, the responsible Virgo energy. I have to work very hard with Virgos. I'm having a lot of success with Virgo women. Let me tell you a story here. One of the first episodes we did here was called Virgo Women Are Doing Very Well. I think it was actually a workshop. Virgo women are doing well. What I mean by that, they're taking on their Pisces counterpart. They're developing spirituality. They're getting past the should. They're listening to the goddess. Well, I found that videotape today, and I put it on YouTube, and it is not visible. I've got it private. So if you want to see it, you're welcome to write me an email saying you would like to see the Virgo. Then I'll send you the link to watch. It's much like this, to watch the Virgo episode. It's an hour and 26 minutes. And it's really excellent, because it talks about what makes Virgos into robots, why they're so perfectionistic with themselves, why I feel that they're ruled by Chiron, why I feel that they're misunderstood and their two main words should be caring and, that's why I have a partner. Caring and purity. Why do you think every Virgo you look at has a pure complexion? At any age. You think that's just some mood God was in? They're pure people. They cannot stand impurity in any way. When I was sick in the hospital, I had a lot of Virgo nurses. I said, oh, I'm going to leave here with all the diseases picked up in the hospital. Not me. I was in perfect shape when I left. Thank you, Nancy. Thank you, Virgos, for all of your extra caring. And it's very serious. They care. This is one reason they get bitchy. And they do. They can't stand people around them that don't care. They can't stand it. They can't stand somebody does a half-ass job. They can't stand it. Because they will stay late. They will get the work done. They care about what they do. Not all of them, but I can safely say most of them. So what do I got to do with Virgos? That's a big job. That's why I made the video, so I just keep saying it. They got to chill. They got to quit doing what they should do. And the real big thing about Virgos is their natural inclination, the thing they're always doing, is fixing. What does Nancy do with me? She fixes me. What do all Virgos do? They fix things. What I say in the book, you want to hire somebody? Hire Virgo. But follow this. If they're the ones that follow goddess energy, and most of my clients by far are Virgo women, by far. Why? I think they like to watch somebody with expertise, but I think moreover they like to, they're dying to stay in sync with what the goddess wants for them. Virgos go nuts when they're off track. When they're doing the wrong job, they can't stand it because they're driven by being evaluated with how well they do their work. Now, I'm going to stop for a second. I've been doing a lot of talking. Am I doing pretty good? Is this hitting? Okay. Yeah, that's good. I don't have a little icon there. I like to have the icon to go, okay. All right. So, the trick is this. When you say to God, I got to fix everything that you send me, what are you saying? Why are you sending me secondhand junk? And that's not Virgo's nature, because Virgo is very appreciative. So how can you be very appreciative of what he's sending you, but yet you find something wrong in everything, and you got to fix it? That's the dilemma. It's the same dilemma with Capricorn, who is I make sure. I fix, I make sure they're similar. So the trick is, Nancy and Susan, and my phone is ringing. All you Virgos out there, Susan, all you Susans, keep fixing stuff because that's what you do, but don't get fanatical. But that's the key to Virgo, is fix it like, oh, I'll fix that, as opposed to, oh, I got to fix that. That's the key. How you do it. Put some smooth in there. I appreciate what I'm given. I'm really good. I'm a good nurse. Susan's username is Susan the Street Nurse. I can fix things, but if I don't, it's going to be okay. There's the problem with Virgo. That's what they got to pick up from the Pisces. If I don't fix it, the world's not going to end, and it'll be okay. And when they hear a Pisces say, it'll be okay, what they hear is, you're a bum. You're being a bum. You're hanging out on the beach. You're surfing all day. You're just being a bum. But in a lot of cases, they're not being a bum. In a lot of cases, when you're letting things flow, you're not being a bum. Because the ultimate teachers throughout all these religions will teach you about going with the flow. They're not teaching about fixing things. They're teaching about going with the flow. So Virgo's a very big chapter, very critical. And what I wrote that, why I did that video, Virgo women are doing very well, it's because I'm really seeing it. Because Neptune has been, I'll show you. Neptune and Chiron have been all through Pisces for quite a while now, and they've been sending their vibes right over to Virgo. So all the Virgos that were ever born have their sun somewhere here. And Neptune has been up here sending its shockwaves over. And Neptune is all about just chill, just relax. It's going to be okay. I used to tell this story. I forgot about it. One day, Liza and I were laying out on the blanket under this big tree, and we looked up, and there was this dead branch up in this perfect tree. And I told her, you know, if I were Virgo, I'd have to climb up in that tree and get that branch out of it. Right? And if I'm a Pisces, I say, it's fine the way it is. And the Pisces is right. It is fine. So the key to being the Virgo is you fix things, but you don't go looking for things that are imperfect. You leave your perfectionistic tendencies at the office. Don't bring them into your personal life. And the biggest thing, without a doubt, is you got to show some self-compassion. Virgo men, they rip themselves up if they have any emotion at all. So you got to find in a Virgo's chart some Cancer energy, some Pisces energy, Neptune. You got to find some outlet. If you find too much Virgo, then they're just too hard on themselves and everybody around them. I tried to fix the election for Bernie Sanders, who wrote that, but was not successful. Yeah, well, Susan, somebody did. They sure fixed it right. I'm still hearing so many questions about Hillary's chart, and I just don't believe I've got the right chart. I mean, her chart just does not make sense, and I hate to tell you people, but Donald's chart looks really, really good during election time. I'm telling you what I see objectively. I don't see much at all in her chart. His chart looks really kind of graceful and blessed at that time. That doesn't mean he'll win, but I do not believe that she has released her true birth chart. Bernie's chart is excellent. What's fascinating to me, Bernie's chart is wonderful. It's a real Virgo with a lot of Aries. What's interesting to me is Bernie got to the real apex of his revolution, and that's when he was done. And Eliza has pounded this into my brain, and she's right. He's carried the football as far as he can take it. And he keeps telling us, I can't do it. You got to do it. We got to do it. I don't need to say anymore. He knows he got screwed. My opinion. But he has taught us, Suzanne, he's taught us that we have to take the ball now. Okay, let me move on. So Virgo is a real mouthful. I really encourage you to watch that video or skip through it. It's kind of long. Send me an email. I'll send you the link to that hidden Virgo video on YouTube. Okay. So Libra, what do we do with Libra? Very misunderstood sign. Libra is not as much a relationship sign as you think, as you've been told. Libra is rick@starself.com. Yes, is my email. rick@starself.com or liza@starself.com. Yes, thank you. I really enjoy having this. It's been so long coming. to just sit here and chit chat. I used to have a string with 2 loops on it and a piece of chalk. I go on the chalkboard, ooh, and I draw the circle. Have a little eraser. We have paid our dues. So I'm enjoying just sitting here by the fireplace, Amy, and relaxing. Libra is all about relationships, but it's not about relationships down deep because you can only do so much at once. Libra is the first sign that even thinks about relationships, all because of the blessed work that Virgo did to get you there. Believe me. Every sign does the work that enables the next sign. Almost all signs, this is all exquisite zodiac. Almost all signs have a hard time with a sign before them. Almost all. Suzanne would have trouble with Virgos. Amy with Geminis. Mona with Scorpios. Oh, no, Marta with Scorpios. Pat with Aries, etc. Not always, but a generality. So the Libra is all about, I become me by how I become with you. I become me by bouncing myself off of you, which is why Libra is always with their partner. It's always about bouncing off ideas as opposed to the real closeness, which comes next in Scorpio. Look what happened to John Lennon when he found Yoko. Libras are always with their partners. They're never in business by themselves, almost always in partnership with somebody. So what's now that we're getting farther down the zodiac, what does Libra need when it gets in trouble? When Libra gets in trouble, what are we going to do, honey? Well, what if the guy says, what do you mean we? So Libra needs to develop the Aries part. Opposite Libra's Aries. Just like we told the Aries they need to develop the Libra needs to develop the Aries. So the Libra, it's hard and it's unnatural, but the Libra needs to say, well, by God, this is what I'm doing, period. You want to drive a Libra nuts, ask them where they want to go for dinner. I don't care, whatever you want, whatever you want, whatever you want, whatever you want. Then you say what you want, and then they argue with you. Very underrated sign, Libra. And I really think this is true. I think Libras don't know themselves how underrated they make themselves be. They're much more capable than they think. But the impetus is on them. The other day I had a reading with a lady, was all Libra, Scorpio, Libra, Scorpio, Libra, Scorpio. So much about the relationships, and I knew right away, like I said in the book, what happens when the guy goes? What happens if he dies? What happens if he moves, changes his mind? A Libra, Scorpio, they're putting all their marbles into the house of the relationship. And that's really dangerous because the other person senses that. And it's called codependency. So the Libra has to, all of you need to learn something unnatural, which is the opposite sign. I have to learn the Cancer part of me. Amy needs to learn the Capricorn part of her. The Libra needs to learn the Aries part. Sometimes the Libra needs to be rude, put their foot down, say, no, that's not how I want it. And Libra's not that way. Libra's smooth. Libra's very tactful. They don't like rudeness. They don't like confrontation, but they got to learn it, or else they get imbalanced. So the Libra does a lot for being able to relate to people, but mostly they learn because Aries is who I am. Libra is who am I when I'm with you? Who am I when I'm with you? That's what Libra's about. The big misunderstanding about the scales are really about comparison. They're not about harmony and balance. That's secondary. They're about comparison. That's what Libra is always doing, comparing. Rich, poor, white, black, good, bad, small, big. That's why they're so good socially. Almost every Libra I know has a great job. They're really socially smart. They know how to play the social game, unlike anybody, because they're really good at comparing everything. But that's also why they really can't make decisions. They're not meant to make decisions. They're meant to compare. You can get a hell of a report from them upon which you can decide, but they're really not very good at making decisions. So you understand what I'm saying? So the Libra needs to develop the Aries. Aries is cocksure. I know what I want, and I know when I want it. Yes, ma'am, Nancy.
So when you say they're always comparing, are you saying like socially they're good because they can see both sides of an issue?
I'm saying they're comparing everything at all times, at every level.
How does that make you good socially?
Well, it's good socially
See
because,
both sides
well, you talk to Libras and they understand that the computer field is down and the coal field is up, and the law field, they know what's happening. They know how to fit themselves in because they see the movements of society, and they know how they fit in there because they're constantly comparing. This field is up, this field is down, this kind of closes it, these kind of close are out. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
So when you tell, you've got it. When everybody goes, wow. And when you tell Libras that they're always comparing, and they don't argue with you, you know you're right. And that's what they're doing. They're always comparing. And this is their talent. This is why Lee Iacocca, it's why they make mediators. It's why they make great judges. They're just very good at it. But the downside is, when I got a Libra, especially a woman, Libra women get in so much trouble. I've told some of you this. Because they're over appeasing. Well, yes, honey. Well, yes, honey. They don't want to fight. Yes, they give in. Yes, I'll say 2 more months. I don't want to fight. Yes, and they should just say, stop, it's over. Quit trying to appease him. Because this is the sign that loses themselves in their partner. Period. They can, and they got to really watch it. Usually I have Libras have done it at least once. They've lost themselves really bad in a relationship, and they paid the price, and they come out and they learn not to do it again. That's developing the Aries side, which means, honey, I'll be in with you. I'll bend over backward a few times, but I'm not going to continue to bend. I got my limits. So tonight what you're seeing is a little bit of the book, a lot of the book being applied with real people, real problems, real things, real solutions. You get my drift? These are things you're going to learn as beginning astrologers. I caution you, read the books, which is how I started. Read Stephen Arroyo. Read Stephen Arroyo, the Libra, the great counselor, retired now, tremendous author. He will teach you the chart says this, but this is really what happens. That's what's so great about Arroyo. The theories are this, but this is what happens. And you need to keep both in mind. When you meet a person, you got the theoretical chart in front of you. Very few people can have the power to manifest the theoretical symbols there. There are 4 or 5 of you here that I believe do that. You're pretty darn close to what your chart says, and that's rare and hard. What I learned on the radio was you got the theory, but what's really happening in your life? And then you learn to blend them. I think the final sign I'll end on, we'll do the rest next week, is the sign of Scorpio. Because what Scorpio does is take Libra to a higher octave. Scorpio is the sign of really relationship, where you're really blending, bonding, like the Neil Young lyrics are all about. They're all about, I will never betray you. I will never betray you. Libras, that scares the hell out of them. Libras aren't ready for that kind of heat in the kitchen. Scorpio is. The problem with Scorpios is they think other people can return the favor, and they can't. And they get betrayed all the time because they think other people should never do it, and they project themselves onto others. We all get in trouble projecting, thinking other people are like us, and they're not. The Scorpios think other people can do that at that level. And that's where they get the reputation of cutthroat and revenge, and I'll hold on to you, the grudge forever. That's why. Because you did the one thing that was the mortal sin. And the bigger reason is because they're usually the one that betrays you anyway. What I found. Scorpio women can be really, really dedicated. And you got one behind you that can just be a marvelous force. The men aren't as good because they have so many temptations. They really do. The Scorpio, Joni Mitchell had the album in the 70s called Hey Gira. It was a black and white album. And it was a picture. Her mood got darker, moody record. And her lyrics to the song Hey Gira go with the picture of her on the cover dressed up as a black crow as she's skating across the ice. He's dressed as a crow. And the lyrics are, I'm a black crow and I'm diving down on I'm a black crow and I'm flying through a velvet sky. And I'm diving down on every shining thing. There's the problem with Scorpio. They're so attracted that they actually use the word falsely. I need that. They don't need it. They want it. Oh, I need that. That's how passionate they are. But the problem is, what they're really meant for is to blend their light with that light, and 1 + 1 = 1,000,000. Wuthering Heights. And what it can come to so often, especially with the men, is I need it. She's mine. Then it gets ugly. That's the ones that give the Scorpio the bad reputation. The good ones, out of this world. We'll die for you. We'll take a bullet. Fabulous people. So we'll stop with the zodiac there. Let me check this. Bernie's chart. Yeah, we talked about Bernie being, I guess I could take a moment to show you, being the Virgo with all the Aries. Bernie has a fabulous chart. Can you see Bernie's chart now? Okay, you've got the Virgo, and the Virgos don't like being out front. And the Virgo's all about the working man and the blue-collar worker, just like LBJ. And the underdog, and what about the people? What about the people? What about the people here, here, here? They're not so concerned about people there, there, there. They're concerned about domestic issues, all right? 9th house, tremendously powerful, is philosophy. Chiron, Pluto. I am not budging my philosophy. I am doing what's right for the pride and the honor of the people. That's where it comes from. That powerhouse right there is Chiron and Leo, his purpose. The Aries, which is when she said something to him during the debate, He said, no, not good enough. The Virgo would have gave in. Too polite. The Aries said, no. Hillary, no, it's not good enough. No. He's strong, but it's mainly the Virgo with the Aries. That's the fighter in him. And what happened to him and us is this. Uranus went over this in his lifetime. Uranus started here, went all the way around, and right during the debate, right during when he just about got tossed out, Uranus was sitting right on that Mars. And Uranus represents, going over the moon and Mars, Uranus represents the collective. And that's why he brought us with him, with his own Arab Spring, but with an American Spring. That's the revolution he caused. And when you look at his other charts, his past life charts, his other things, it appears to be, I don't know, but it appears that he's done his mission. But he's driven by that Virgo honesty, humbleness, small car, small house, etc. Not stealing money. The Aries, which is driven, and he's got balls, he's tough, he stands up to the whole Congress, but it's that Leo stuff in the ninth house. This is the great side of Leo, where Leo is flipped out about you messing with anybody's dignity. That's what Bernie's about. You got to show people respect, because Leos lose their mind if respect's not involved. Lose their mind. I don't care if it's reasonable or not, if they deserve it or not, you will respect me. So when he sees the underdogs being treated so badly, that's why he was such a great ambassador. But the big thing was the Uranus going over the Mars, Uranus being the movements, the revolution. Uranus is revolution. He brought it right over his moon, right over his Mars, and he tried to bring it to us. And the reason he was not successful all the way was because we're not ready.
Rick, could I say something real quick, please?
Of course.
Can you hear? The guy, the psychic, I cannot think of his name, who goes on coast to coast for the last 12 years and predicts all the presidents accurately, 100%. He couldn't do it in the spring. He did it now. He said that Hillary will get it, but here's where I thought you might look. Next year, she's going to have a huge health problem and will not finish out her term.
So that leaves Mr. Kane.
So we should look at that. I know nothing about this vice presidential candidate.
Oh, I've looked at his chart. He's blasé at best. I've done Jill Stein's chart. She's the real deal. Bernie's chart is as good as Trump's, is just flat out empty and ridiculous. Mr. Bullshit Artist. Good.
Yeah.
You can study all you want, and I've got mine out there. It's been seen 1,700 times now out on YouTube. I took it piece by piece. He's just Mr. Bullshit Artist. And the problem with Trump is he's such an opportunist. He knows how to say things and take advantage. Look, these other countries have taken our jobs. Are you going to let them do that? He knows how to use their weak spot against them. But I don't want to get into that. Bernie has done a wonderful thing. He has awoken the spirit within us to be revolutionaries. He's awoken, and that's a word that is very uncomfortable to most Americans. They want to watch Dancing with the Stars. They don't really want a revolution. But he birthed it. The moment that Uranus hit that moon and that Mars, those charts will stand for the future. We will, how do I say that? The moment his moon and Mars got hit are not personal points. They were moments that he represented the collective. So I've saved those charts, and those charts will represent how we do with the revolution, etc.
Okay. Thank you.
Bernie gave us permission to care, and he articulated that we were all feeling. That's because we all thought we needed permission. But we don't. But he did. But we don't need it. We can give it to ourselves. So, you're welcome. Tonight was very good. I'm going to stop the recording in a minute. Like I said, write to me if you would like to see the Virgo one. Next week, we'll pick up again Thursday and start with Sagittarius and go forward. Thanks for the fireplace. And you write to me and we'll get you worked out. And thanks to you. And we're having a lot of fun. And we're going to need that fire once we start getting cold. And Karen in Florida, we don't want to hear anything about it. We get cold up here. Good night, everybody.
Get cold down here too sometimes.